Welcome to Political Platform, the platform that provides you with all the updates on political developments. We give you the stories behind the stories, give you the analysis on policy, on developments and politics. And you can join us on this program through three major platforms: Raypower FM, Africa Independent Television, AIT, and the Political Platform channel on YouTube. I am Okiri Agbonsuremi, always glad to have you on the program. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has emerged expectedly as the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, in their primaries that was collated yesterday. The party announced that Atiku received 1,846,370 votes, defeating his closest rival, former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi, who garnered 504,117 votes. Businessman Mohammed Hayatuddin finished third with 117,120 votes. Atiku commended the ADC for demonstrating that democracy is thriving within the party. However, with a second presidential candidate from the two of the three factions of the ADC, it remains to be seen how the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will handle the situation. In a unique approach to candidate selection, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has announced that only successful aspirants in their primaries will be required to pay nomination fees. The primaries is holding across Nigeria today. This move aims at alleviating the significant financial burden candidates typically face in Nigeria during the primaries. Of course, you know how much millions the parties rake in during this period. The PDP those days raked in billions, and they had money to satisfy themselves in the offices and prepare for the general elections. Of course, it also shut the door against so many people who couldn't raise this money. Currently, we have some of the parties charging as much as 100 million, 90 million before you can touch the nomination forms. On the program today, we will discuss various political developments from the past 24 hours, including legal matters between the parties and INEC regarding themselves, regarding timelines and guidelines. Remember that there are some moves that we anticipated in our analysis in the previous episodes, that the way the rancor and the quarrels that happened within the APC, and I dare say it is not just the APC, we also had some quarrels coming out from the ADC, but the APC quarrel was really loud in Delta, in Edo. One of those who quarreled so loudly, Ovie Omo Agege, yesterday resigned from the party. Where is he going to? Where is Omo Agege going to? It is not clear where he's going to go to, but it also formed part of our analysis when the time came. And in the course of the program, Abdul Mahmoud, a lawyer and a president of the Public Interest Lawyers League, will be joining us in our analysis. There are a lot of legal questions that we can't on our own put fingers to. He will be able to help us dissect, help us explain some of them, the court cases, what the status of somebody like Omo Agege is now, considering what the law is and what it will be when the Court of Appeal takes a decision and all of it. My colleagues are here as usual. Uju Eje from my immediate right. Uju, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ohiria Omo Agege. Well, For now, we can say he's partyless, but I can bet that it won't be for a long time.
And Amechi Anakwe is in the house too. Amechi.
Thank you so much. Just like Issa Pantami, in Gombe State, Omar Agaga appeared to be taking advantage of that court judgment that nullifies certain provisions of INEC guidelines. So who knows whether some other people may want to take advantage also and move and defect.
That's why we have, the lawyer will need to help us understand if this window of few days, if somebody takes it, and a decision is taken later, what happens to the person? And Bakar Salah, Mustafa Mohammed, welcome to the program. You have finished all your Salah meat.
that may not be true, despite the various visitors. And, you share this meat.
How many people were able to buy the ram?
Not so.
How much was the big ram and the small ram this year?
The biggest goes for about 2 million. And
what?
Yes, and then you have smaller ones that you can buy at 180, 200, 100, 200. But then I think the fundamental thing is not the cost of the ram or the size. The fundamental thing is knowing fully well that you are doing this because of God's instruction, and then you share this meat between your family and the visitors and the needy. But if you are doing that for a show, God will not reward you. But beyond the Salah, I think Omo Agege has the right to move, just like the former IG in Nasarawa who felt he was cheated in APC. He has moved out of APC as he's moving to another party. We learned a close associate disclosed yesterday. And of course, you're talking about Fantami, and Fantami was led coma into the party. And he was an anti-establishment when he was doing his fairy preaching. And when he accepted the ministerial role, when he had told people that Islamic scholars should never collect political appointment, people viewed at him with suspicion. In fact, some of his videos of the past have supported terrorist leaders across the world. So I was wondering, if he becomes a governor in Gombe State, what type of governor is he going to be when Nigerians are battling terrorism for more than
but he actually denied some of those.
But the videos are there on the social media.
He became repentant, just like the late Buhari became a repentant Democrat.
All right. When we come back from the break, we have a lot to share with you. We will be looking at what is happening in social media recently. We'll be looking at the APC, the candidate, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has a burden tied around his neck, very serious, with iron rope. That is the promise he made, that if he doesn't provide electricity, we should not return him in second term. That is actually creating some ripples, and one of the social media voices, very dark man, is sharing it, and the reactions are counter reactions, a lot of it. We'll take a look at that. If Nigerians actually even take a look at promises, or they vet their leaders before they vote for them, then we'll have our guests after all the discussions. Please don't go away. You are on to Political Platform, and we are here to give you all of it. We'll come back shortly.
The hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Must shift to INEC. From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities, so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
CBT GTBT, whatever.
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
Thank you for remaining with us on Political Platform. Let's quickly take some of the topics, some of the issues, and the analysis within amongst us, and then we'll get in the guests to join us at the end of it. But I believe one of the significant tests for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's bid for a second term will be his promise to address Nigeria's ongoing power issues. The questions of insecurity will also pose a challenge, but like his predecessors, Tinubu could just navigate this by claiming we are doing our best. That is what all the other Buhari, everybody say we are doing our best, and they got second term and they won the elections. However, the promise to resolve the power problem is a heavy burden that he must bear. Now, for context, let us listen to him.
By all means necessary, you must have electricity. And you will not pay for estimated bill anymore. A promise made will be a promise kept. If I can't keep the promise and I come back for second term, don't vote for me. That's the truth. Unless I give you adequate reasons why I couldn't deliver.
Colleagues, that's the trendy thing. That thing is I believe even the president and his handlers will be looking at that video every day. What is going to happen? Why? Because we have a system. I don't know how many times we have a grid collapse this year alone. We are
talking about having grid collapse up to 6 times, and beyond that, I don't think when the president made that statement, he knew the extent of rot in the electricity infrastructure. And going backward, not fast forward, all those people who bought these companies at giveaway prices. If you look at the MOU, it was about investing in infrastructure, expansion of the infrastructure. These companies failed to do what was necessary to do. And still, fast forward, after selling these companies to them, just check out the investors who brought in money. These are people who are not professionals in the power sector. You had politicians who used their connections with the government of that day to buy over the electricity. How much have they?
So what you are trying to say is that the president didn't know that the problem was this huge.
Big. And then you see people putting money together to put electric poles, cables, transformers, including where I live. Even the companies that will give you transformers, they will sell to you a company transformer through the back door.
Dr. Amaechi, do you think this is...
He knows the enormity of the problem. That's why he made it a kind of social contract between himself and the people of Nigeria when he was campaigning for the presidency in 2023. That's the biggest promise he made. And he understands the impact of electricity on any economic development, but he did not match it with action. I think the biggest misstep he took was prioritizing politics over the electricity. The man he pushed to the Minister of Power had no pedigree, and he lived up to expectation. He disappointed everybody. He failed woefully. I see him as the worst power minister since 1999. He demonstrated lack of knowledge and empathy towards that sector. So the president did not match his promise with action by headhunting someone that understands the sector. What smart presidents do is that For key sectors, they select the best. But for the other ones, you can
politicize.
You can
one of
reward
them big
children of my friends and associates and all that, because his father have been a political and a link to the president. So it's less than for demand that will be there in 2027. Key sectors must be given to people that
now would you have the Aso Villa? I don't know if it's partially or fully powered now by alternative power.
Off the grid.
They spend so much billion, about 10 billion, am I correct? 10 billion setting up power, independent power, using the solar facilities to set up. And people were asking, does it mean the president has given up? He gave up? Because if he's setting up power, independent power, and abandoning the traditional one that the whole Nigeria, the other Nigerians are using, does it not show that he's giving up?
Ohiria, when I heard that, and of course, when we saw evidence that it was actually true, I felt. So, in fact, I became so disillusioned, because this is a man we are trusting to help us come out of this situation. Like Amaechi said, there is no country that can develop without steady power supply. Power is the growth of any economy in any country. And now the man who is supposed to solve this problem, the man who promised Nigerians, like we saw, is now using solar. So it's like, who will bear the cat? Where do we go to for solution? Insane country, insane claims, that will have great implications for the president.
During the election?
Yes. Even apart from during the election, people might even take to the streets, I mind my language, because you do not do that in a situation where a lot of Nigerians, 99% of Nigerians are in darkness. You promise them electricity and then you wire your place with a solar. And you're enjoying full light and the people are in darkness. Economic businesses are suffering. Even the woman who is blending tomato and this thing for daily bread can no longer do that, because not many people can buy fuel for generator or even afford generator because of the high cost of these facilities now.
Saleh Mohammed, the former power minister, was convicted for 76 years. He'd have been convicted to serve like 200 years in jail. Look at the proposed Mambila Hydro monument for that has gone over 2,000 manufacturing companies between Lagos, Jos, Kaduna, Abuja. Abuja is not an industrial. They have closed shop. People have lost their jobs.
Because they don't have power supply.
Yes. And I was in Saudi Arabia some 20 years ago when they celebrated 60 years of non-stop continuous generation and distribution of electricity. In fact, they use electric bulbs to decorate mosques, filling stations, the streets and houses.
Yeah. So we're talking of Saudi Arabia. What about Ghana here? Although it has advanced a bit in the last few years.
When you also take a look at the reactions of government officials towards people who ask the president to fulfill his promise, you get sad about it. The citizens have a right to ask the president to live to his promise. And we're also saying that here, live to your promise. If you have promised that we will have electricity, please do it. And if you have challenges, let the people know, I was so excited yesterday to see the president talk after the prayers to reporters. He has not done that for a very long time. I said, look, this is how presidents should. When something happens, he's going abroad or he's coming back, journalists are waiting, they're asking him what is happening, and he's responding. So when I saw him talk to reporters yesterday, I said, yes, this is how a president should behave. This is how he should act. He should answer questions that border on national issues. He should talk to citizens, take advantage of any opportunity he has to talk to citizens. And I was excited. But how long ago did the president do that? We only hear he has gone out and they have taken to social media. And our colleague, Bayo Onanuga, is almost landing himself in trouble because he should know that people read in between the lines. If VDM, the very dark man, has said, President, take action on this. If you do not do this, I am going to vote, I'm going to campaign using my platform that people should not vote for you because this is what you told the people to do. It is not for anybody to be castigating him and calling him names and saying that he's going to be tried for one offense or the other. Can we answer the question? Can we answer the question of If there's not going to be like, don't return me, don't vote for me. These are the issues that are on ground, and we should be serious about it. We should not be hunting people down, citizens down, for speaking out their minds.
And especially for something that affects everybody's life and lifestyle, if people's businesses. You recall that Obasanjo spent about 10 billion, that was voted for just to deal with the power situation. And at the end of the day, we didn't come up with anything. Look at somebody like late Bola Ige, a man who was diligent and, really hardworking. Yes. And at the end of the day, he couldn't break through the power cabal. And what does that tell you? That means that certain powerful people in power, certain powerful people may be involved in what we're talking about. Because any crime, any situation that a government cannot break through, then that means part of that government may be involved. They sold the power facilities to their cronies, according to the allegations that we're hearing. And then at the end of the day, like Mustafa pointed out, these are people who have absolutely no knowledge about power. Nnaji tried, but somehow he was booted out of office, and America quickly snatched him 2 days later. He's serving the American government. We are here.
You have mentioned all the people that came that made promises. Bola Ige, Fashola that said any government that is serious will solve the problem within 6 months. They didn't succeed because they failed to dismantle the structure within the power sector. When Obasanjo was in office, I recall we were reporting from the State House, Nigeria was generating about 4,000 megawatts. After billions of dollars have been wasted, I wouldn't say spent, wasted. How many years after? Almost 30 years after, we are still at about 4,000 megawatts. So it tells you there is something problematic, inherent in the structure. For anybody to succeed, you must have to pull it down. You can't say, let's do here, let's work from here, let's patch. Pull the entire power sector down and rebuild from scratch. If not, Bola Ige with all the integrity, Fashola with all his experience and promise, and Adelabo with all his failure, they will continue to indicate negativity. So we need to do it differently. Somebody must do it differently.
And Mustafa Mohammed, Nigeria is blessed. We are in the temperate region where we have both wind and sunlight. There are some countries that sunshine is luxury at some point in time. Yes. And we have all the facilities to also diversify. We are not diversified. We only diversify in our various homes. You can be sure that there's hardly any government official that is up there that doesn't have alternative power supply through solar system in their homes.
You are talking about...
what are we talking about?
You are talking about government officials. A lot of Nigerians have just realized that there is no deadline for when power will fully be restored to Nigeria. So that's why myself, yourself, Amechi, and several other Nigerians must have invested in solar or buy big generator. And now that fuel and gas are expensive, a lot of us are on solar. And beyond that, what is the level of commitment of the government officials, whether at state level or the federal? There are so many villages that governments can install solar for them or provide the carbon system, clean energy, gas. There are so many ways of installing power to the Nigerian home. But now we didn't do it.
Let's just quickly run through the NDC working to eliminate the financial barriers to the primaries. What we have seen is that the All Progressives Congress and the PDP, and in fact all the other parties, they raised a lot of money through parties' primaries. That is, candidates or aspirants coming to pay hugely. Under the NDC policy, candidates will only pay nomination fees after winning the primaries. And the approach is innovative, I think, if you ask me, and it's also commendable. This probably will open the doors for people to go in there. They say they can only pay after you have emerged as candidate. They are not removing the money completely from the game. But to shut the door and say if you do not pay, you cannot contest, is what the NDC has done. I think this is one step forward, colleagues. Are we breaking the barriers gradually?
You're going back to the issue of trying to address the monetization of
yes, the cost of running for elections.
Yes, the cost of running, adverse starting with the buying of the form, and you have a lot of Nigerians, especially most women who cannot raise those millions to even.
And men too, not just women.
It's, what the parties are doing in some instances, you could liken it to 419. They know
obtaining
the party,
false pretense.
Yeah, party hierarchy have decided who they will give the ticket. They also encourage gullible people to buy the tickets, buy expression of interest and nomination forms, and still deny them even the right to contest. It's not that they are allowed.
The monies are not refundable.
They're not refundable. So it's not different from 419. These are things we have to raise to the
419 means it's a section. The old section 419
of the criminal what some people
obtaining by force
because
pretense.
It's a huge moral burden on the parties. You design a primary that will favor a few and collect money from others. And it doesn't speak well about your intentions. That's why NDC's move is commendable. If you lose out, expression of interest form is usually less than the main money is in the nomination form. So it's only when you win that you now be advised to pay. So it's left for the other parties to key in. They rake in billions, but it will be difficult for them because they are used to the big money they are getting. Billions of naira they rake. And so a step will make them stop it. They will continue on that line.
Of course, they know what they are making. And if you have tasted well-marinated chicken, you know that it's not too good to go back to the one fried with ordinary red oil. Anyway, it's quite commendable what the NDC is doing. Like you said, I hope that other parties will follow this example. In fact, let them live whatever it is they have been enjoying. You see, integrity is good, and a party that decides to put itself forth as a real party that Nigerians can depend on. Little things like this matter a lot.
Yeah.
It will boost their reputation because people will begin to see them as a party that is not all out there to grab, but a party that also wants to give to society. Because we're seeing the example, and we hope that they will do more to make themselves different from what we have right now from the pack.
I was hearing somebody saying that it's a Peter Obi effect that is beginning to be fed. It is possible that many of them at the top there, including Peter Obi, must have said, look, can we do this? Can we be different? Now, let's also discuss the Atiku Abubakar emergence. How will his emergence shape the political landscape moving forward? Are we going to, now we are sure that we have a presidential candidate in Atiku Abubakar?
And there's something he said. I don't know if we have that clip. He talked about a warning. He gave a stern warning to the government. Do not interfere with our party again. It will be resisted. And he used that famous Abacha line, enough is enough. What
I also wanted.
So he's suspecting that there could be interference based on the fact that the other faction has also produced a candidate.
And I was surprised that Amechi, Mustafa Mohammed, that Rotimi Amechi. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. I don't understand politics. How he could have imagined that he was going to defeat Atiku Abubakar in a primary. I don't know.
I actually thought about that.
He has a right to dream, but he has a right to dream. But the way he's carrying it with all the pride and I tell everybody, it's like he overrates himself.
But he came second in APC's primary.
He will continue to come second because he continued to come second. He has come second in this now. But I couldn't imagine that he will stand up and say he wants to defeat a professional contestant like Atiku Abubakar, who has all the network across the north, friends in the south, His wife, Madam Titi, is from Lagos. He has a lot of network all around. I don't know which network.
Igbo in-laws.
I don't know which network.
You see, Buhari contested a few times before winning the election. And of course, Atiku being a professional contestant like late Muhammadu Buhari, who later won two terms, we don't know what will happen at the polls. But you see, Rotimi Amechi is contesting for the second time. And I also thought it will be difficult for any other person in another party to defeat Atiku Abubakar with all his connections and all his resources. It's only if the president.
All right,
let's look at the fact that Rotimi Amechi may be looking at the age factor because Atiku Abubakar is 80 years old. And Rotimi Amechi is a young man. He's also experienced in governance.
Atiku has said, I have never lost any primary.
Yes, never lost.
And Chibika Amechi reminded him that he has never won any many elections. Let's see whether he will change
Let's
that.
take a very short break, and our guest will join us. I doubt if Rotimi Amechi, if he gets a ticket for Senate now from Rivers State, I doubt if he will win the election. I don't want to go into all the details how I concluded that, but I don't think he has any strength now. When you talk of politically, where will you have a wicked that is bulldozing everybody and flogging everybody with both? Let us not go into all those ones. But let's take a break. We'll have Abdul Mahmoud, a lawyer and the president of the Public Interest Lawyers League, joining us on the other side, and then we'll take a look at some of the legal matters and all the issues. Don't go away. Stay with us.
Bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussion.
Thank you so much for staying with us on the platform. You are on to political platform. And Abdul Mahmoud, I told you, is a lawyer, a legal practitioner, and president of the Public Interest Lawyers League, has joined us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Austin Agboreme.
Yes,
thank you for inviting me.
After a long time.
After a long time.
Yeah.
And good morning, everybody.
Let's begin from the cases in court. We are all educated here, but we are not learned. You are the only one that is learned here among us.
As lawyers say.
Yeah, let's look at, we have a judgment that was delivered by Justice Umar, Federal High Court. We have another one just delivered by Justice Omotosho, Federal High Court. They agreed in some areas. They disagreed in some areas. But we're actually going to be looking at the political side to the entire thing. The Umar judgment left a window open for politicians to political parties to delay certain steps because of the timelines that we have breached. That is, look, they were not in line with the earlier guidelines, were not in line with the provisions of the law according to the judge. Now, another one says, look, there are some certain things that was correct in what INEC did with regard to the primaries and all those things. Please, can you break it down for us?
First, thanks for inviting me. And two, let me also preface my remarks in respect of development within the legal realm, with reference to the triad of politics you referred to in the opening. In your opening remarks, you referred to politics, polity, and of course, principles, and added a fourth development. If you look at what we've had in the past 3 weeks in our country, there has been serious interrogation of two things: our politics and our polity. Our polity deals with the rules of the game. What we're experiencing now is some conflictual struggle between the regulator, the courts, and the parties themselves in respect of who controls the political field. It's unfortunate that our courts have inserted themselves into the politics of our country. And it does not speak well for, one, the independence of our court, two, the integrity of our judges, and three, the integrity of the political process itself. Let's not run away from the fact that the average perception of a Nigerian today is that our judiciary is corrupt. Any decision that is made by the court in respect of the Electoral Act is seen as something controlled by somebody somewhere, particularly in the executive. That's the unfortunate situation our courts are finding themselves. And INEC, that should be the regulator, has suddenly become is suddenly behaving as if it's a judicial arm of the state. It started with the interpretation of the phrase which we know as status quo ante bellum,
yes,
that I thought at the time INEC should have reverted to the Court of Appeal to interpret what it meant by status quo ante bellum. And again, too, because I don't know if I'm allowed to use this word, I won't use it. The short-sightedness of our legislators, they created what I now consider as tyranny of the executives of political parties. In an attempt to enhance
tyranny of the majority.
Of the majority, they handed power back to the executives of political parties. So we are back to the pre-2003 era, where structures, superstructures within political parties can sit down, decide who will be a ticket holder,
yes,
and create a facade of
primaries.
Of primaries. That's what we are seeing everywhere. But unfortunately, it also creates problems for the integrity of the political parties. I mentioned one. The Electoral Act creates the duality of membership register, electronic and manual. Yeah. What the primaries have shown is that divergence between the electronic register and the manual register. That's why across Nigeria, APC can beat its chest and claim that we posted 10 million votes for a president. How do you establish that? The electoral register might show 6 million. The manual register might show 4 million. Between both, there will be differences. The differences is emphasized by the fact that the political parties have not respected the Electoral Act. I tweeted that yesterday. Section 77, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act is very clear. That participation in primaries must be by members of political parties.
Yeah.
If you look at the pictures we have seen, particularly in Gombe, in Bauchi, where IG Wala raised issues about small children queuing up to vote in party primaries, question you're invariably going to ask yourself is that,
are these children
members of a political party? Did these parties conduct accreditation before elections took place in the primaries?
Perhaps the Electoral Act didn't provide, or perhaps donates the powers to the parties, like you said,
to decide
how they will conduct. Whether they are not even printing papers, they will just count politically, geometrically, and record. But I want your comment on the two judgments by Justice Omoto and Justice Omoto. On the difference, on the difference. Educate our viewers and audience and listeners. What are the fundamental difference from what they did and implications for this electoral system?
I think the first judgment, Justice Umar, touched on the fundamentals of the Electoral Act and also of the Constitution.
the timeline set for the various activities.
The timelines. Again, let me preface this. If you look at the Federal Government Gazette on the Electoral Act, I have it, unfortunately I didn't bring it here. The last page of the 2020 Electoral Act shows the timetable for elections for 2027. The problem we have found ourselves now gets to do with the subjective political conditions that we have found ourselves as a people and as a nation. When INEC fixed the original elections timetable, there were outcry from a section of our country that the periods that you have fixed these elections are going to be periods for Muslim fasting. The timetable must move forward. In moving forward the timetable, it created all sorts of timelines problems for INEC. INEC contracted the 60 days, 150 days that the Electoral Act, talked about. If you go and look at the Electoral Act, you see that, the timetables meet the provisions of the Electoral Act. But unfortunately, in attempt, this quick fix, fire brigade approach, responding to subjective conditions, yes. No references were made to the provisions of the Electoral Act itself. And INEC, so motto, outside its past, now contracted timelines. And that's what Gombe, Justice Omar, frowned against and said, look, the word used in the Electoral Act is shall. Shall is mandatory, shall is commanding, shall is must. You can't depart from it. Unfortunately, INEC departed from it. What I found strange, were the foundations upon which the latter judgment on Motosho arrived, both courts, people say they are of concurrent jurisdiction. I disagree. They are not of concurrent jurisdiction. They are one of the same court.
Yeah.
The Federal High Court.
The Federal High Court. One court. Yeah. One court. Omotosho ought not to have ruled on the application.
So upon the determination by Justice Umar, Omotosho should not have gone, since the matter was already gone to the Court of Appeal.
Court of Appeal.
Just have left it.
Absolutely. Should the Federal High Court not have consolidated the two cases?
Yes. Was it not possible for the two cases to have been consolidated?
Again, with a sense of hindsight, I would have thought that the administrative structure of the Federal High Court, recognizing the fact that it has jurisdiction over election matters or pre-election matters or matters revolving around the Electoral Act, should have consolidated both.
Yes, for one judge to hear it.
But again, too, Omotosho, recognizing that a ruling had been delivered by his own court, by a learned brother of his, should have, hands off the matter in a way that allows the Court of Appeal to determine,
particularly that it he was already aware that the matter had gone to the Court of Appeal. INEC already filed notice. Absolutely. And they even said they were going to ask for a stay. So what probably would have happened, maybe the earlier on should have been a consolidation.
But again, too, let us not carpet just some Omotosho for the sake of carpeting. There was also a convergence between his ruling and that of Umar.
In two areas.
One, he held that the mandatory provision of shall is clear. INEC must stay within
the ambit of the law.
The ambit of the law. But what I found strange, I've not read the judgment, I must say, with the report I've seen in the media, is holding that INEC has the powers. Yes, again, INEC has the powers to issue out guidelines. Timetables, that's established by law. How his timetable falls within the ambit of the law is the issue here.
Contentious.
So I see uncertainty here. That has been my concern. INEC is going for stay of execution. It has not come. If it doesn't come, the appeal will go on. And which of the guidelines will now apply? And does it open the window for people to move?
No, they are moving. They are moving already.
In Delta, Sewama Agege moved. Is it that they are taking advantage of this window or what?
No, Agege hasn't really joined the party. He just resigned
from a P.
But I think what INEC is doing, if The chairman is my former teacher. I've publicly defended him. I've also publicly lampooned him for some steps he had taken. If I were in his shoes, I wouldn't have appealed the decision of the Federal High Court. But
from her side, is it not better they appealed? Because if they didn't appeal and just the motor shows case is...
Uma's judgment, provides clarity to the limits and delimits of powers of INEC. I don't see what INEC is going to appeal over at the Court of Appeal. INEC has so much on its plate in 2027. 2027 will be one of the most consequential elections that we have had in our history.
Let's look at the politics of this entire matter. Now, we have politicians. Patami has quickly used the window to jump into another party.
Yeah.
Where Omar Agege resigned from APC yesterday. We don't know if he's going to take advantage. Ned Nwoko is shouting above everybody's head that he was cheated and is angry. We don't know what he's going to do. And if you go around Nigeria, you have a lot of people who have filed petitions before the APC. And ADC is also holding its primaries now. They are concluding it. We do not know. We don't know if there are people who are... Is this a window for politicians to take advantage of the UMA judgment to say, look, we are not under compulsion to quickly submit the names. We can move from one place to the other. A party can adopt anybody that is there a window that is
two things have happened there. One, Amaechi talked about the uncertainty enthroned by the two judgments. And two, for me, what politicians are doing, they are emphasizing the imperatives of their constitutional rights. I do not think that timelines, timetables, rules and regulation by inferior laws that are inferior to the Constitution should guillotine people's right to political participation.
Freedom of association.
Freedom of association. That's why I think that those sections of the Electoral Act are problematic. What our friends in the National Assembly did was to bring some sense of responsibility to the political process by stopping these unnecessary defections, jumping from one ship to the other. I do not think that when you place a bar on participation, will help to progress or grow a country's political culture. Over a period of time where development reaches a certain optimal level, people will now begin to rethink how they jump.
But let me ask you very pointedly, sir. Yeah. Let me ask you pointedly. Now that Justice Umar's judgment is out and it appeared to have opened the window, if I take a decision to leave one party to the other, I take a decision to leave APC to NDC, within this period, even if it's within 10 days, and subsequently, INEC appeal is heard and wins. Yeah. What happens to me?
you are reverted back from your...
My action within that window,
will you be punished for...
The action that you take in the now is legal because what you're doing, you're taking advantage of a legal order of the court.
Yes.
Until a superior court rules otherwise, your actions remain legal. But unfortunately or fortunately, politicians are gambling. We see ADC gambling, with all sorts of legal cases hung around his neck like letter A, and all that. And you also see politicians also gambling around the objective rulings of a court. We do not know what will happen at the Court of Appeal, and the matter might go as high as the Supreme Court. But
within that period,
if I'm the oracle at Ife, I can pronounce that the judgment made by Umar is sound in law, that I do not see a higher court upturning it.
Okay. All right. We must thank you for joining us. Our time is up, and we have to go to our mailbox now to take our mails and hear what our esteemed viewers and listeners out there is telling us. We always enjoy you telling us what the situation is all about and how you feel the pulse of the polity. Do we take a break to come back, or
let's go
ahead and take the break.
You made mention about what you objectively think as a step forward by NDC when it today is putting out aspirants in the field who will be contesting for positions in elective offices without collecting their nomination fees. Why I applaud that, it's also problematic. The party has not thought through the process.
We may not have time.
We might have time to do. Maybe what we do is that
somebody who does not have school certificate
there'll be a problem.
There'll be a problem.
Okay, that's all right. Let's take our mail. Uju, let's go.
Yes, Oluwatosin Adeyemi sent this one in from Ogun State, and it says, in Nigeria's 2026 budget, only about 4% was allocated to education, far below UNESCO and UNICEF's recommended benchmark of 15 to 20%. Even more heartbreaking is the growing insecurity affecting children across the country. As I write this, nearly 50 children reportedly kidnapped from a school in Ogbomoso remain in captivity, facing inhumane treatment under harsh conditions with little hope in sight. It is painful and deeply disturbing. Beyond the reported cases are countless undocumented stories of trafficked children forced into labor, prostitution, and early marriage. These children are denied safety, dignity, and the opportunity to dream about a better future. A nation that cannot protect its children is endangering its future. If children cannot access education, safety, food, and hope, then what becomes of the future of Nigeria? As Nigerians celebrate Children's Day, perhaps the real question is not whether children are happy, but whether we as a nation are doing enough to give them a reason to be. And Steve Omar Ofozo sent this in from Lagos. Fellow Nigerians, what is Happy Children's Day to Mr. President and other Nigerian leaders as observed yesterday, Wednesday, May the 27th, when our dear children are in terrorist dens across the country's forests? In the same vein, 30,000 Fulani militia operating in Nigeria are said to be behind violent killings. According to U.S. mission and federal government and even northern leaders, they are yet to comment on the report. Why? And one is asking, what other English definition does anyone want to use to qualify Nigeria's present hopeless security predicament, where non-state actors and terrorists are seemingly overwhelming the nation's security agents and the entire population are living in fear and hopelessness? I conclude that what Nigeria needs now remains total and sincere restructuring for true federalism to be operational, or let every federating nationality find its bearing. Enough of the pretense that all is well, but suffering and smiling. A stitch in time saves 9. Take it or leave it.
Omolayo John from Oroza in Abuja says the battle line to occupy Aso Rock is almost drawn. Dr. Jonathan is eligible to run or rest. He must stop consulting and confusing politicians. As an incumbent president, Cat Reader failed you. Political associates failed you, and you're coming back to defeat the incumbent. Don't spend your pension to feed political parasitic people. God bless Nigeria ends. And the last mail is from Amechi Obochi in Abuja, and he says, news making the rounds has it that former Deputy Senate President Senator Ovioma Agega of Delta State has officially resigned from the APC just days after losing the Delta Central APC senatorial primary. Truly, politics in Nigeria never ceases to surprise one. Why resign from the APC at this point? This is the same man who once risked everything during the controversial Mace incident in the Senate chamber under the Buhari administration. His resignation once again raises questions about the loyalty and commitment of many Nigerian politicians. Continues to reinforce the belief that most politicians are driven more by personal and political interests rather than by genuine concern for the growth and development of Nigeria.
Thank you so much for your mails. And this is how exactly we are going to be wrapping it up. When we come back tomorrow on the program, we will be also giving you, as we do every day, the details of all our reports and the analysis. I must not end up without thanking Abdul Mahmoud, a lawyer and president of the Public Interest Lawyers League, who joined us during the program. Thank you so much for joining us. And we want to thank you out there for joining us on the program. I'm Okiria Agbonsuremi. Stay away from trouble.